topics. Today we will be talking about Michael Phelps, swimmer or stoner, or is he both? Recently, a photo was released of Michael Phelps smoking cannabis from a bong. So what does this mean for his role as a role model, and what's going to happen for the next Olympics? What do you guys think?
Poor Michael Phelps. I feel bad for him. I wish no one had ever taken that picture and had never gotten out, because he's an amazing athlete, and now he stands to lose major sponsorship deals, his Olympic future, and I don't think he should lose any chance of being in the future Olympics. I don't know, what do you think?
I definitely agree with you. I think that what people do behind the scenes is their personal business. And I understand sometimes people have roles as a role model and you need to maintain a very positive way about yourself. But, and I understand also that because any drug can be or a drug that's performance enhancing is negative, obviously, if you're an athlete. But weed, marijuana, cannabis, it's not a performance enhancing drug. And so therefore, as long as he's not doing it around the time that he's training, I think, you know what, I don't need to know what you're doing in your spare time.
Well, I kind of disagree, girls, sorry. Because I think that when you take on the role of a role model, you need to be held accountable for your actions, public and private. And these days, there is no such thing as private as soon as you move into the public eye, especially with these phones that have cameras. There's pictures taken all the time, and a lot of them leak into the media. And Michael Phelps knew that, you know, he is in a public role, and he knew what he was doing. And I think the picture was not a random picture. He knew that picture was being taken.
Do you think so? Or do you think that he accidentally, his mind was a little gone because of what he was smoking, and maybe he didn't pay attention to...
See, the problem is that, you know, what you do in your private life is, you know, your choice. However, smoking cannabis is still illegal. Consequently, what you do is going to affect the little kids that look up to you. I mean, usually if you're an Olympic star, you're going probably to be at a lot of kids events. You'll probably be at, you know, autograph signing, and you might even be going into schools to motivate little kids. So what you do is going to affect those little kids.
You might stand to make $100 million in endorsements this year, and now maybe not. And yes, I do agree with you actually that it's a role model issue. So there's the athlete thing, and then he's a role model. He was recently in an ad for Disney. There's Speedo as one of his, you know, sponsors, but I still feel bad for him. Like, I do agree that, you know, if you're getting $100 million potentially in sponsorship deals, if children across the world are looking up to you, maybe boo-hoo, you can't smoke weed. Poor you, because someone might take a picture of you and people are looking up to you. That being said, I feel bad for him because he's 23 years old, and this might ruin his career.
He made an apology, and he said he is 23 years old. He made a regrettable decision, an immature decision. Now, he is 23. He is still learning. Mistakes are part of the learning process, and no matter what, you're going to make a mistake in your career. Everyone's going to do it, and when you're in the public eye, it's going to be noticed. Now, the other interesting thing about Michael Phelps is back in 2004, he was fined with, or convicted of driving drunk, and received a DUI for that and a fine, and had to perform community service. So now I guess what's different in that case, that being even closer to the Olympics, and a photo of him smoking from a bong?
Well, Lily pointed out that drugs are illegal and alcohol is not, although driving under the influence is illegal. I don't know, what do you think about Ross Bigliotti? No medal for you, sir, because you were smoking weed. We think that marijuana at this point is not a performance-enhancing drug, but the same way they thought smoking couldn't kill you, what if in the future you find out that it is? It's also the nature of the job, and we had this exact conversation when we talked about Heath Ledger and his drug use and whether he, you know, deserved an Oscar or any awards if he ever performed under the influence. And like I had said then, you're an actor doing your thing, entertaining people, and then there's the Olympics where you're expected to be at your purest physical, in your purest physical state.
So do you think that, talking about Olympics, that he's going to be invited back to 2012? Is this going to affect that decision?
Well, I think that the case that you spoke about before where the snowboarder had the medal removed, eventually, actually, they reversed it and the medal was returned to him. So I think there is some grace in the situation where these are young kids, you know, they're Olympic athletes, but they're also young kids just kind of finding their identity, and there is room to make mistakes. On the other hand, as an athlete, it's not like an actor where you have one role and then maybe you lose a few endorsements this year and then next year you might find another role where you get launched back into the media.
Mm-hmm.
As an athlete, the Olympics really are the only role that you're waiting to perform in.
And 2012, really in terms of the peak performance lifespan of a swimmer, that would potentially be it for Michael Phelps.
Well, my other question is, if he can live this kind of lifestyle, smoke a little bit here and there, and then perform at that same level, wow, that's impressive. I mean,
most people can barely get off the couch.
Yeah.
But we don't really want our children
No,
to believe that, you know, just because they are standing on a podium and we look up to these athletes.
The DUI, do you feel that alcohol and what happened then is different than what he was just found out
Well,
doing
and I was
now?
going to say, would it have been worse if he had found to be doing a harsher drug?
Absolutely. Like heroin or cocaine or, yeah.
Then
I think it would be even worse.
Do you think this would be?
I think that definitely he would not be allowed to compete because that would totally tarnish his image. And even with cannabis, I feel like most likely he will lose a lot of endorsements or even potential endorsements. So even if he does win, if he goes on to compete and wins, most likely there will be companies that will withhold approaching him because he doesn't have a good track record. He already has, you know, 2 black things that have happened to him in the past. So my advice to Michael Phelps is to get a PR person in and try to reframe this quickly. Probably, you know, do some more volunteer work, start to do an anti-drug campaign, do something.
Well, and that's why we want to hear from you. We want to know, what do you think? Will Michael Phelps lose some of his endorsements? What's going to happen to his role model status? So please post on our forum and let us know what you think.